strength coaches? Welcome back to another episode of Finance Friday, where we are talking about a topic, finance, exactly like the name says. And we're bringing in other guests where it's not just strength coaches. We've had Coach B on the show before. And as we've said before, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. This is educational, informational purposes only. I brought one of my friends on who is in a couple NFT projects with me. Joey, thanks for coming on, brother, and sharing.
Yeah, good morning, Justin. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about one of the many passions I have in life, which is the blockchain and everything associated with it.
So let's start in it with blockchain. Like, what is it and why should the general population and our population strength coaches care about it? Like, what is something that they need to understand about why this is a revolutionary technology?
Yeah, so over the last few months, I've coined this phrase. The industries that need the blockchain the most are the industries that want it the least.
Ooh.
So, for those that don't know what the blockchain is it's essentially a public ledger. So if you've ever used Microsoft Excel, if you've ever looked at any type of accounting document, so like a P&L, right? There are credits and debits, right? By definition, something comes in and then something comes out, right? And the blockchain is a public ledger that is immutable, which means it cannot be altered or changed. So unlike Microsoft Excel, where maybe I want to fudge the numbers, I just go into Microsoft Excel, change a number, and now I'm in the negative. So now I can claim that like I didn't make any money last year, right? So that's the easiest and most basic way to describe it, right? Public ledger that is unable to be changed or altered. It publicly manages the comings and goings.
Now, from what I've understood too, like Venmo and a lot of banks are already using blockchain technology. It's just we're not even aware of it as the general consumer. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that there are definitely some industries and companies out there that are starting to leverage the technology that is available to them. It's one of those things where if you want to be transparent, which is, again, the industries that need it the most want it the least. So if you think about that, what industries could benefit from full transparency? Politicians,
Huh?
U.S. government, um, mortgage and banks, right? Like the people that should be transparent with what they're doing with our money, what they don't, right? They could easily use the blockchain for this. So imagine a scenario one day where, you know, like the Miami mayor is very pro blockchain and crypto. I would hope in the future he's the type of person that might say, "Hey, I'm going to run for governor of the state or maybe a higher position. And I'm going to do it where all of my campaign funds are in crypto. And you could watch my wallet and see all the money that comes in and out and where it goes. So you can ask, why did $100,000 go to this wallet?" Right? So it's there are people that are starting to leverage it. I don't think it's for the right reasons yet. I think it's more so because it's like a buzzword to say like, oh, we're using blockchain technology, right? Um, but I do envision a world where blockchain technology replaces a lot of industries. Like you don't need a middleman because of smart contracts, right? Like so we don't need an escrow company to hold funds in a real estate deal if you have blockchain technology in play. So it's um it's going to start to penetrate parts of our lives. You know, the blockchain also is great for provenance. So what is provenance? Ownership. You can't, again, it's immutable. You can't fake it, right? Once it exists, It's easily tracked by people. So how do we eliminate fakes? How do we eliminate um, false transactions? And what is a real luxury item versus a fake luxury item, right? Like all of that stuff can be tracked on the blockchain.
Now, all of that sounds really good, but I feel like most people in the general population that haven't studied it, and strength coaches would fall into that, they would say, well, that sounds awesome, but it seems like there's lots of fakes and lots of things out there that are bad. How does how does one navigate that world, understanding that it is meant for good, but people are using it for bad?
Yeah, I would ask you, how many times has somebody been scammed by the prince of the Sudan,
Yeah,
right? Like,
as I said it, I was like, man, I'm answering my own question.
right? Like, so here's the thing: there are criminals in every single industry in the world.
Yep.
If you took the time to Google how big is the counterfeit luxury market in the world, you would probably gasp at how much money is used or like bought and sold on counterfeit luxury items, right?
Really?
The same could be said about um, like collectibles. I mean, one of the biggest stories we've heard is, I think it was Logan Paul bought a like some $1 million Pokemon card that was fake.
Really?
Yeah. Um, Again, take some time and just Google how much money is exchanges hands when it comes to counterfeits and fakes and scams in real life. Like, how many times has someone had their identity stolen?
A
How
lot,
many
yeah.
times has somebody, written bad checks in somebody else's name or opened a credit card, right? So the idea that in crypto or using the blockchain is any more risky than your everyday life, I would say no. I would say that because it's a new technology and that individuals don't understand how it operates and how to protect themselves, you're at a higher risk. The same as when people first started using credit cards or
Huh.
using checks, right? Like, people didn't know how to secure their checks when checks finally became a thing, or how to keep their credit cards safe, or right. So, and now our credit cards are on our cell phones where you have to use a biometric fingerprint, right, at an Apple Pay station. So I think as the technology continues to advance and people begin to understand how to keep themselves safe, you'll start to see less and less. But the reality is right now in the crypto and NFT space, it's somewhat of a casino, right? It's very unregulated and people are constantly looking for an opportunity to 10, 20, or 30x. And when you're playing in that world, you're putting yourself at risk, right? So I think as we continue to move forward and as the technology continues to be adapted, we'll start to see increases in security. Like right now, most people will tell you, don't put your crypto wallets on your cell phone, right? Everything should be like on your desktop because it's so much more secure. It's actually false. Your cell phone is way more secure than your desktop. Why? Because again, biometrics,
Oh,
right? Like fingerprint, facial recognition, right? Like all these things that you can do on your cell phone to keep yourself safe, it's not available on your desktop. Now, granted, it's a little bit easier to navigate things on a computer versus cell phone because of, the way technology is, but I do think that there will always be criminals. We'll never get rid of
yeah.
them. Whether they're stealing your crypto, stealing your identity, or selling you a fake Louis Vuitton bag, criminals will always exist. Just how do you mitigate your risk? Um, and I believe the blockchain is a way to mitigate that risk if we educate people on how to check the validity of items.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I'm obviously biased, everybody. Like, that's why I have this conversation, and I know Joey. What is the easiest way to explain a smart contract? Because you mentioned that earlier when you were talking, so I understand it, but to dumb it down for myself and anybody else that might not understand it as well as you do?
It's the exact same thing as a 40-page contract from your lawyer, but digital code.
Huh.
That's it, right? So when I agree, so for example, there's probably some very long contract that, like, let's look at a mortgage. Mortgage
Oh
is
my
what,
gosh.
100 something pages, right?
Yeah.
Of all kinds of nonsense. But at the end of the day, really what it is I agree to give you $500,000 in exchange for your house, right? That's at the end of the day, that's really what it is. Or not, sorry, not a mortgage, a purchase agreement for a home, right?
Sure.
When I'm buying your home, there's all this stuff in there, right, about inspections and blah blah blah. Sorry, not mortgage. So at the end of the day, really what it is I'm agreeing to pay $500,000 for your home, and you're giving me the ownership of your home. And by agreeing to this, I say that, you know, I've inspected the house and blah 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 blah, and I'm willing to take possession of it in this condition and da 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 da. Okay, all of that can exist in a simple click of a button, right? Hey Justin, you want to buy my home? Yeah. Okay, cool. It's $500,000. Great. Okay. Here's the item. Click on it. And then once you sign, which signing is, you know, you clicking that you agree to all the terms and conditions, right? The home is yours and $500,000 comes to me. Just a digital contract, right? Without having to go through all of that other stuff. And again, it's the ability to fake things, right? Like how easy it's for somebody to fake a signature, right? Like a wet signature. People fake wet signatures all the time. That's why we have signature authenticators, right? But if you're carrying a device that requires only you to have access because it's your wallet, right? Like, so again, if it's on my phone and the only way for me to sign is to put my finger on my phone to approve the signature, it's just a digital contract. That's it. You can include things like how, why, right? Like, so when Justin performs said action, money is released, right? So again, think of like an escrow holding company, right? They're holding my $10,000 to purchase your home as a deposit, so that way I don't back out. And if I back out, I lose that money, right? The same can be done in a smart contract, right?
Oh, wow.
So I deposit $10,000 into the smart contract. There's a window of 30 days. If I don't sign within 30 days, the money gets released to the other person. And instead of having to rely on a third party, like an escrow company, it's just being held on the blockchain by nobody, right? The contract is holding it. And the contract is impartial. The contract doesn't make decisions, doesn't decide if it should or shouldn't release the money. That we agreed to a term of 30 days. When the 30 days is up, I automatically lose that $10,000. The same with loans and things like that. There's a reason why decentralized finance is so massive with lending and loaning when it comes to crypto and the blockchain, because you can create parameters within the smart contract that people will agree to. Hey, I want to take a loan for $50,000 at 7% that has to be paid back in 6 months. If it's not paid back in 6 months, that asset that's being leveraged is automatically given to me, right? Like it automatically transfers from your wallet to my wallet. All because the who, what, why, when is spelled out in the smart contract when you agree to it. There's no third party. There's no impartial person that decides whether or not I should get it or not, or should we extend the time frame because, oh, I got sick. No, listen, this is what you agreed to. These are the terms. And the contract, the program, is making the decisions because you agreed to them.
Taking a quick break from the show to talk to you about our membership site. If you find value from our podcast, you are guaranteed to find more value inside of the Strength Coach Network video library inside the membership. Doesn't matter the level coach you are, you can see all of our 170 plus lectures sorted 3 different ways. Based on the level of expertise coach you are, aspiring, established, or head, you can sort it by every sport imaginable, and you can sort it by every topic in strength and conditioning. This makes all of the content consumable, easy for you and for your staff members to be able to deep dive on any topic in strength and conditioning. Click the link down below to try the site out for 24 hours for only $1. Then your membership turns into a monthly membership where the price is less than $30 a month. For $29.99, which is less than going out to dinner by yourself, you have access to all of this content. Click the link down below. That sounds really straightforward. Do you think people are afraid of it because it holds them more accountable?
Oh yeah, it cannot be changed. It's immutable. So when you launch a smart contract on the blockchain, unless it includes specific commands that allow you to edit. So for example, again, going back to decentralized finance and one of the things I'm passionate about, for example, let's say that Muhammad Ali photo behind you was actually signed. Let's say it'd be worth $100,000, okay? You can take that photo and tokenize it, right? So turn it into a digital artifact and then put it on the blockchain and ask somebody for a loan against it, which you cannot do in real life. No bank is going to give you a loan against that photo, right? No bank is going to say this photo is worth 100 grand. I'll give you 50 at 8% for 6 months, and we'll hold this photo in case you don't pay it. No one's going to do that, okay? Maybe a loan shark, maybe Tommy Two Toes or something like that, right? But no bank, right? Now, in decentralized finance, people will do that, okay? They will give you a loan against that asset. They'll say you have 6 months to pay it back, 9%, whatever. Once it's launched on the blockchain, there is no turning back. You cannot alter or change or remove that contract unless you've agreed to, hey, let's make it a adjustable interest rate, right? If I don't pay in 6 months, the interest rate goes up or whatever. But even then, you would still probably hard code that into the smart contract. So unless you specifically notate in the beginning that you want some type of adjustable variable, smart contracts are not editable. They're immutable, okay? So again, in the scenario of that picture behind you, you don't pay back that $50,000 with the interest, whatever, in 6 months. That digital version of that photo automatically gets transferred to me, and now I own the physical version because I own the digital version. So at any point, I can redeem the digital for the physical and then go sell the physical on eBay to recoup my $50,000 loan that I gave you. Or maybe I just then try to sell the digital version. Right?
Now, what if somebody listening is like, okay, Joey, but the picture is behind Justin? How does that get handled then?
Well, it wouldn't be behind you, right?
Okay.
It would be sent off to like a independent location. So for example, you would send it to a vault, like a third-party vault. So maybe you send it to eBay Vault, right? And eBay Vault knows that the only way that someone can claim that photo is by proving ownership with the digital version.
That's so cool.
Like there is a process, right, that would take a while to go into. But the point is that these smart contracts can determine what, when, and how the transfer of money and assets happens on the blockchain. Yes, you would have to surrender that photo to a third party. So again, like a vaulting service, eBay Vault, Brinks, PWCC, right? That would go in their vault, and then the company that's issuing the digital version of that photo would then be responsible for custody, right? So they would say, hey, the only way that this can be redeemed is if somebody proves ownership of the digital version, right? Which is what we're seeing now. because the real world asset market is booming when it comes to the blockchain, because people are starting to tokenize things like carbon credits, gold, silver, collectibles, real estate. Like there's all this stuff that's now being tokenized and put on the blockchain to give people opportunities with liquidity. But to go back to the original point, the reason why we use smart contracts is because they're immutable, right? Again, I'm sure if we Googled how many cases there are of somebody that signed a contract and then somebody tried to change the contract after the fact.
Yeah, there's tons of that.
Because it's not immutable, right?
What about sports? Like, what if somebody, how could this potentially work? So we're talking strength coaches. What about a sport coach that negotiates a better contract, an athlete that has a good year and then they renegotiate, they restructure? Can that be done? Is there like a fail safe that you'd have to build into it? Or what if it got hacked?
Well, yeah, I mean, so how many times have we seen a professional team try to like renege on their contract?
Oh, most recently with what's his face? Russell Wilson.
Yeah, right. So like, hey, we're not going to pay you because whatever, like you were playing basketball and sprained your ankle, and now and that didn't count as like,
Certain number of games played.
So then whatever, right? Yeah, well that wasn't specified in the contract. Well, we're going to take you to court over it, right? Well, if it was all done on the blockchain, they'd have no choice, because if they agree to release funds every 30 days for that contract, it just happens regardless. They can't stop it, right? Like it happens. The same could be said about things like, like your diplomas and your IDs and things like that, right? Like if they go on the blockchain, then nobody could fake your driver's license. Nobody could fake having a master's degree or a graduate degree or a bachelor's degree, a passport. Like digital identity is happening all the time. Like we think that like we need to carry a physical passport around to justify like who we are. But again, with cell phones and biometrics, like why can't I just fingerprint, this is who I am? Voting, another great example. But to go back to sports, like you could, so again, not everything belongs on the blockchain currently. Is there a use case that you could utilize the blockchain for? Yes. But I will tell you that a lot of people will take things that don't necessarily need to be on the blockchain and do it just because they want to like be forward thinking, right? But like, so as an example, let's say you were a strength coach and you wanted to sell a year membership to your coaching, okay? And let's say it was $1,200 for that coaching, $100 a month, okay? And 6 months into it, that person gets hurt, okay? And they can't utilize 6 months of your coaching. If it was on the blockchain, they would have the ability to sell that membership to somebody else for 6 months, and then that person could utilize your services for 6 months, versus you having to say, oh, okay, well, let's see how long you're hurt, and then we can add the time back and blah, 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 and all this stuff, right? Like, you can just make your membership transferable on the blockchain. Same with getting paid, right? Like, how many times has somebody disputed a credit card?
Oh, my God.
Because they didn't want your services anymore and couldn't bring themselves to, like, tell you, and they couldn't break the contract. So, I mean, let's be honest. 99% of people in this world have signed up for a gym membership and then didn't want the 90-day term that was in the contract that you didn't know existed. So they canceled their credit card. So they stopped paying for Planet Fitness or whatever, right? Let's be honest. But if it was, like I worked at a nightclub. And we didn't take American Express when people bought VIP tables because Amex would always side with their customers when they would dispute the transactions, right? They would say, oh, I never made this transaction. I didn't go to this club, and $5,000, poof, gone, right? if they paid in crypto, there was no way for them to lie, and there's no way for them to get their money back because the transactions are immutable, right? So same with you. If someone pays you that $1,200 in crypto, right? They literally biometrically put their finger on their phone and agree to pay you $1,200 in crypto. They cannot dispute that transaction and get that money back. There's no way. It's an immutable record on a public ledger. So I mean, I deal with this all the time with people that say like, "Oh, you never delivered this." Yes, I did. Go on etherscan.com, put in your wallet address, and you'll see the transaction.
That's awesome. I think we just whetted everybody's beak. Like I said, I want to respect your time. I could ask you a bunch of these questions for on and on, but I'll listen to you on Spaces. I greatly appreciate you taking some time to share with us, brother.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to come. I mean, literally, this space is ever evolving, and it's something that we can talk about for hours and hours and hours. What I would tell people is there is a lot of opportunity in crypto and NFTs, blockchain. There's be smart, understand that there's a lot of risk involved. Forget the fact of being hacked or stolen from or things like that, but just understand that it's if you've ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street, where they're like trading like penny stocks and stuff like that and whatever, and it's like, it's kind of like that in crypto right now. People are buying all kinds of weird things, hoping they 10 and 20x and sending money here and sending money there. And sometimes they don't even get their token. And sometimes the token goes to zero. And, it's a crazy world out there right now. But if you spend the time educating yourself on the industry and the space, you can decide whether or not you want to be here for the long term. And if you are, then yeah, just buy some Bitcoin every week. Like I buy $25 worth of Bitcoin every week. I don't care what the price is. I don't even look at it. Right? Think about it like this. If people believed back in the day that Apple was going to become what Apple was, and they could literally just buy $25 an Apple every week, they don't care what it trades at. They don't care if the price goes up or down, right? They're accumulating because they believe in 10 or 20 years, Apple's going to be worth a lot. The same about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink, like these bigger BNB, these bigger currencies. If you believe that those companies are going to be here, or those tokens are going to be here for the next 20 years, if you believe in digital currency, don't even look at the price, right? See how you can allocate $10, $20, $30 a week out of your traditional investing, right? So 401k or whatever, and diversify a little, right? If you truly believe that Bitcoin is the future and is going to go to $500,000 a coin, why not buy $25 a week? You don't have to get into this and be a day trader and risk all of your money on one move, right? There are many different ways to skin a cat in this space. But definitely spend some time on YouTube, watch videos. Safety and security are paramount, right? Like follow all the steps on how to secure your assets and how to keep yourself protected. But yeah, I mean, we could talk for hours about meme coins and NFT trading and what's the difference between Solana and Ethereum and Bitcoin and ordinals. And I mean, there's so much in this space and it's ever evolving. And you're going to start to see more people come into it. Sadly, Starbucks pulled their Odyssey program.
Oh, they did
this week, that like their beta program, which was on Polygon. I don't know if that means they're not going to continue it, but they ended their beta program. They didn't say that they're ending the program completely. They just ended their beta program. And it was very successful. But I do think we're going to start to see more industries come to this space. It's just a matter of time and adoption because, again, when you come to this space, all of your information is public. So they have to be willing to let you in and see what's happening, right? Because it's a public ledger that's immutable. I hope voting one day is on the blockchain.
Yeah.
I hope political campaign funds, right? And I hope our U.S. government treasury is on the blockchain one day, right? Like, I want to see where all the money goes. Like, there was a story last year where the Pentagon lost whatever it was, like $5 trillion or whatever, 5 billion, right? They like couldn't account for this money. How could you not account for that money?
Yeah.
Right? But if it was on a public ledger that we could all see the comings and goings of the money, we would potentially know where that discrepancy was, right? Like, there are people literally now that get paid a lot of money to be a forensic auditor on the blockchain, right? They track all of the money, where it goes. So, but just take some time, get educated, watch some videos. Again, safety and security is paramount. Understand how to protect yourself and your assets. And again, I look at it, Kevin O'Leary says that crypto will become the so in the S&P 500, right? There's asset classes. He believes that, I think there's 5 asset classes right now in the S&P 500. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank says that crypto will become the 6th asset class one day on the S&P 500. So it doesn't hurt maybe to diversify a little. Just, be smart, be safe.
Amen to that, folks. Do your own research, and I know I am, because I'm going to look up all those things that you just mentioned at the end. Appreciate you again, Joey.
Thanks, Justin.
What's up, strength coaches? Want to take a quick break from the show to talk to you about our sponsor, TeamBuildr. TeamBuildr is your one-stop shop for online training platform needs as a coach. With TeamBuildr, you're going to be able to program for your athletes whether they're in person or remote. Using TeamBuildr, not only will you be able to program for your athletes, but there are special features such as the leaderboard and locking training with wellness questionnaires. With the leaderboard, you can have an exercise performed that day, whether it be a lift, a sprint, or a jump, and scores can be updated in real time and projected on a TV in the training. Wellness questionnaires can be used at the beginning of training, and your athletes will have to fill them out prior to being able to train. This ensures that as a coach, you're being able to collect quality data before the athletes train. So, if you're interested in TeamBuildr, click the link down below and find out more information. Let's get back to the show. Taking a quick break from the show to talk to you about our newest sponsor, Hawkin Dynamics. Hawkin Dynamics builds and designs software and hardware for coaches, athletic trainers, sports scientists, and everybody in the high performance department. Most notably, their use of their force plates with the ease of transportation and ease of use. Not only did I use them when I was at Towson, but I've used them when I've moved back here to Iowa with Tucker at Goldfinch. So check out Hawkin Dynamics in the link down below. Now let's get back to the show.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.